this idea come from, and how did you know this was the one you needed to make?
I suffer from depression. Ever heard of it? Anybody? Depression? Yes! Oh, God. And I watched this movie called The Untamed, which is about a tentacle monster in a shack that fucks people. Yeah. And I was like, I want that so bad. And I was, as one does, I don't know. And so I've been obsessed with pink films, Japanese exploitation films of the 60s and 70s. And that's like a lot of like female revenge, and I was also going through a really bad friendship breakup at the time. And so it was kind of all that events being like, what if I could cure my depression and explore why I fucked up with my friend, and also like have a kind of an exploration of my obsessive compulsive disorder, and that kind of all came into the movie. That is, I'm sorry. I don't need to apologize for my movie, but it's yeah. So that's basically the inception of it.
Amazing. Well, you brought it up. You're dealing with a lot of absurd ideas, and it's hilarious. While there's a lot of very serious stuff being talked about, a lot of serious trauma people have been through. How did you kind of toe that line of, I feel like if you said, pitch that, someone's gonna be like, that doesn't sound possible.
Don't do that. Yeah. It was through the very first monologue, what Olivia's doing, that 8-minute uncut, just like slow zoom. That was her first take, by the way. That was the first day of shooting.
Wow.
She's doing what's called exposure and response prevention therapy, and basically what you do is you fantasticalize what you've been through in terms of your trauma in order to kind of deaden the nerve in terms of how you experience it. So like, I'll give an example where like, I was like, had a intrusive thought where like, my boyfriend's gonna break up with me in the worst possible way. So I had to journal about that while in the background, like unicorns were having like battles. So then when I'm thinking about the breakup, I just think of the unicorns like maiming each other with their horns. And that to me is what this movie is, if that makes sense. Because like, it's the way you kind of handle kind of deadening that, like every fear, every piece of trauma you've been through, like, and yeah, so that's how I found the humor, because that kind of exists. That's how I exist in my world. And so that's how I felt the characters who, Craig is loosely based off of no one in particular. And so like, that's what I wanted to explore and how I explored it.
Awesome. That opening shot you brought up, I was wondering, if that was a first take or what, and I feel like it was an incredibly perfect way to set up such a film with so many ideas. It's like, you set it up perfectly in the opening.
It's hard, right? Because you've seen this once, but if you go back and rewatch it when this, gets purchased by A24, they said no, just kidding, they're not coming. Fuck you, no, just kidding. I really want them to make another movie of mine. Anyway, basically, what was your question? I just got embarrassed by my A24 joke.
I actually didn't ask the question. I was just saying, I love that setup.
When you rewatch the movie, it's everything in the first 8 minutes is the rest of the movie. So she takes you down the beats, and then you watch that story unfold, and then you get all the information. But it's hard because you're listening to an 8-minute monologue, and you're going, this can't possibly be 8 minutes. Oh, she's still talking. Oh, now we're fully on her head, and then you see the title screen, and so, but yeah.
Well, I'll say it's an incredible scene because it doesn't feel like 8 minutes, and it brings you right into it.
It's really Olivia. She's so good. And she was a last-minute replacement, my original actress, who I wrote it for, dropped out, and she had 4 days to memorize that monologue and do it. And I couldn't imagine doing the movie without her. She was so good. Yeah.
I have to say, one of my favorite parts was when we finally got to see the tentacle sex go down. Do you have a favorite moment or sequence in the film?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it honestly is the sex scene, but it also another scene I like is when Laura transforms into Brian. That kind of dual things were in her fantasy of finally getting to fuck Brian, Erin, and then in reality she's getting ripped apart and turning back into Lou. And people were like, so like, you know, when the worm goes up her vagina. That whole sequence was like very like, I don't know, really fun to shoot, really fun to put together. And we only had one take of the worm going up her up because Olivia kept laughing. And so and so yeah. Also just like the hip hop dancing. I just, you know, it tickles me so much.
Yes, I'm guessing the dancing was always a part of it.
Yeah.
Love the dance sequence in a movie.
Yeah. So the monologue was this thing I wrote first, and the three things that I came up with Brian before I did anything else was that he like is obsessed with like MTV in the 80s. So it's like, so he like wears tracksuits, he does hip hop dancing, and he looks like Jared Leto. Like, so it was just like, that was like full, just like, that was.
Jared Leto, under the bus, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, it's Jared Leto, we can.
I see lots of.
No shade to Jared Leto, he's a great person,
now.
I don't know him.
Let's see, does the audience have any questions?
Yeah, what would you? This is so perfect. Like, I get it. You know.
Oh, what was it like working with Rustic Films?
Oh yeah, they're great. So yeah, Rustic Films, run by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, if you know them, who direct for like Daredevil and Loki. Now they're so famous. They were really good. Them and David Lawson came on, like, you know, and gave me a chance with this, and they really wanted to mentor me. I met them in Switzerland, of all places. We both had their film with Something in the Dirt, and my first film, Hypochondriac, which played here 3 years ago, out together, and we just like bonded, and like Aaron and Justin are really good at that like lo-fi, sci-fi type stuff, and so when it comes to like the logic and like how to approach things from the kind of like lower budget space, they were like really good and gave really practical like notes, especially in the edit, and Aaron Moorhead did our VFX and like gave really good notes, and they're the best guys, and they're just really, really sweethearts. And I'm glad, yeah, and I'm, you know, glad they let this gay freak make a movie under their banner. Yeah.
Yes. Andrew.
Awesome movie.
Thanks, guys.
My friend, and the score was beautiful, and I saw in the credits that Jimmy LaVille from the album link.
Yeah, Jimmy did it, yeah.
How? He's a genius.
Yeah, so Jimmy kind of scores all of Rustic's films. So I approached when it was like, he was like, oh, you have time? And Jimmy's like, yeah, man, absolutely. Then like he sent me a first draft of the score, and I was like, wrong. And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm just like, there needs to be more flute. And he was like, oh, I got you. And so then we spent an entire day with a flautist. That's it, right? Flautist. That's a fun word. Flautist. And we just like fucking, like, I mean, I didn't do anything because I'm not a musician, but I was just like, wouldn't it be cool if it went, and he's and the guy's like, no, I got you, and he went, and I'm like, oh. Or I was like, what if we do like a Kill Bill, like, and then they did it, and I was just like, damn, cool. But like, you know, it was just like, I sent him all these references, and Jimmy did this score in 2.5 weeks, which is even crazier because we were on a time crunch because of Sundance, and it was just like, boom. And he's the best, and his dog laid on me the whole time. Yeah.
Silly question, I just remembered I wanted to ask. What's up with the dino nuggets and the aliens love? Just, you know, frozen oven food is the best for
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so I think later in the movie, right, when he's like, I think I'm like 5 years old, and so like when I was telling, you know,
yes, that makes sense now.
When I was talking to Lou, I was like, that's, yeah, I mean, you're like literally like a child in adult form. Like, you like dino nuggets, you like really hot, shiny things, and you know, that's the thing, it's just like, why is he so into Lydia, or like, why did Joey? And it's like, well, she's really hot. Like, and that's as far as he goes, which is like so unfortunate because he has this kind of, you know, it's the whole thing is like, Brian's like a drug. He's like heroin or marijuana, or like, you know, the classic narcissistic abuser that like gives you less and less as you crave more and more and more. And I don't know how I got serious when you asked a question about dino nuggets, but
Now, it was
but he never put it. I always cut right before Lou put it into his mouth because I knew he didn't want me to eat them. So like every time I was like, it would be right into his mouth, but it didn't touch his tongue, and I'd be like, cut, and he'd be like, fuck you, Addison, and I'm just like, hey, you didn't eat it. I mean,
Are there any more? I think I see one up there.
Oh.
Green hair.
Yeah. So like, were you like in a sex shop and just saw like a tentacle dildo and was like, about this? Or like, where did that all come from for the tentacle porn? Or was it like a bad anime that you watched one day, Iron Acid?
That's a good question. I mean, a lot of it came from the Untamed, but I also, watched this movie that no one should ever watch called Erotica Doji. Please never watch it. Okay. It's heinous. It's truly heinous. Horny but heinous. And also, it's super. The super interesting thing about that movie is it was the first iteration of tentacle porn in media, and the reason that the tentacle porn existed was because it was a way to get around the censors of the time, because you couldn't show dick and you couldn't show vagina, so you could show appendages. So these appendages got put in place for the penises to essentially still create porn. And who doesn't love a good hentai? Oh god, I want to hide now. But yeah, that's essentially where that came from. Yeah. We cannot end on that, please. One more question.
Blair.
So you had mentioned some of your influences in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Can you give us maybe the starter pack?
Oh, I sure can.
Some of these films we should watch.
Yeah, so I'll give you examples. So female prisoner is a big one. When they're lying in bed and you see the kind of bubble pop up as they're imagining his abs, it's a direct shot. When Craig gets his arm bit off and it's red and green, that's from the Battle of Narayama. When they're in the purple section, when they're talking about being fuck ups and they have spotlights on them, that's from Jigoku. There's a movie called Kwaidan that deals with changing of things from natural light to theatrical lighting. There's Kuroneko and Onibaba. There's obviously House, which is a big one. I can keep going. Blind Woman's Curse, Tokyo Drifter, Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, which is, while the sets are theatrical, I was really inspired by the production design of that movie. And there's also a way to keep things cheap and stylish. And that's a starter pack, there's 20 Japanese films that have direct homages, direct still pulls and homages in this movie. And I really love that kind of cinema, and I loved getting to recreate it with my DP and my production designer.
Oh, yeah. Any more questions? Oh, yeah.
Where did the rainbow trees come in that process? And I love that they were fake.
Yeah. In an original draft, Craig finds a Made in China sticker under the crystal, and that's how they found out. But I was like, that's too much. The rainbow trees. Honestly, I love Annihilation, and I think the visual language that Alex Garland does in that became so inspirational to me, especially when Tessa Thompson is going out, she's becoming a tree and finally being at peace with herself, kind of took that and built the trees from there.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. That means
that
means it's the end, yeah? That means it's I have a place to hide now. Okay, great.
Okay. On that note, thank you everyone.
Thanks everybody. Thanks so much for coming and watching.
And don't forget to vote for your favorite film. Of course, I lost the mic on that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
Go down.